So the last time that I reviewed a Pecron power station, things did not go great. Not just because of the product, but even with the brand. After the video went live, communication pretty much stopped completely. And honestly, that stuck with me, because when a company goes quiet after criticism, you have to ask yourself, did they actually take my feedback seriously? Or did they just move on and disregard what I had to say? And that matters, because if you're spending your money on something like this, you're not just buying a product, you're trusting the company that is behind it. So this time I did something different. I didn't wait for a review unit. I didn't reach out, and I just went out and bought this one myself with my own money. This is the Pecron F3000 LFP, and this is not just another review, it's a second look, because I want to know, did they actually fix anything? Now, if you didn't catch the last video, I'll keep this real quick. There are a few things that stood out, and not in a good way. Performance didn't always match expectations. There were inconsistencies under load, and overall, it just didn't feel as refined as it should. So going into this, I had a very specific focus. Not trying to test a new product, I'm testing whether those same issues still exist in this system as well. Now on paper, this looks like a big step forward. Higher capacity, more output, more capability just overall. But if you've watched my channel before, you already know I don't care what the spec sheets say, because numbers on paper don't always translate into real world performance. So instead of just reading those specs, I ran this through the same testing process that I use on everything. And I want to walk you through that, because how I test this is just as important as what I find. When I test a power station, I'm not only looking for peak output, because anyone can hit a number for a few seconds. What matters is sustained performance, consistency, stability, and how it behaves over time, because that's actually going to affect you when you're using it. So one of the first things that I look at is continuous discharge under load at close to the max output of the rated system. Not what it can do for a couple minutes, say 5, 10, 15 minutes, but what can it hold? And this is where things got really interesting, just like it did in my last video. So I set this thing up for a full continuous discharge test, pushing it right up near its rated limit. We're talking roughly 3,500 watts. And the goal was pretty simple here. Can this actually sustain that load from 100% down to 0%? Now on the first run, it looked pretty promising. It held the load, it stayed stable, and for a while, everything looked exactly the way you'd want it to. But then something changed once the battery dropped below 30, maybe 25%, and I noticed the state of charge was dropping faster than expected. At first, it was subtle, but then it became very obvious by the time it hit around 15%. It didn't just drop, it fell off a cliff. I'm talking about going from around 15% to completely turning off in maybe 15 to 20 seconds. And it happened so fast, I didn't even have time to get my thermal camera out to run temperature checks. Now at this point, I wasn't ready to call it, because sometimes under heavy loads, when you first start to test these systems out, you can see some unusual behavior. So I run the test again. This time I wanted things to be more controlled, more consistent. So I set up 2 heat guns and a small space heater and balanced the load right at 3,400 watts. And I ran it again from 100% all the way down to 0%. This time, no sudden drops, no instabilities, and it completed the test the way you expect it. And honestly, I was thinking, okay, maybe the first run was just an outlier, but I plugged it back in, and this is where I saw something I wasn't expecting, an error code, an ERR09. Now, based on my experience with this brand, my first thought was overheating, but after digging into it a little bit, that's not what this was. The error 09 points to a bus soft start failure, which basically means internally the system failed to properly initiate its power delivery during setup. And to be clear, that's not a small issue. That's a deeper internal fault. Now, I did let this set for about 30 minutes and the error code cleared, and I was able to get it powered back on. But this is where I think context matters. I've tested units from EcoFlow, Blue Eddy, and Anchor Solex. And while I haven't tested every brand that's out on the market, I haven't personally ran into this type of behavior on other bigger, well-known brands. And that's where we have to zoom out a little bit, because most people probably aren't going to run this near the max load from 100% to 0%. But that's not really the point. The point is, this is operating just under its rated continuous output. And under those conditions, I am still able to reproduce instability just like I did in the last product. And I'm not getting this in the more well-known brands. Now, to give credit where it's due, this is still an improvement over the last unit that I tested. That one couldn't even complete the full discharge at max load. And it shut down early, and it took over an hour to cool down before I could even turn it back on or to get it to charge. So yes, this is better, but at the same time, this doesn't feel fully resolved. And if you're someone who plans to push a unit like this hard, that matters. Now, moving beyond that test, let's talk about the overall usability, because specs and testing are one thing, but real world use is another. And I will say that this does feel more refined than I experienced before. The layout made sense, the interface is easy to work with, and overall, this feels like a step in the right direction. But again, there are still small things here that remind me of my last experience, and I'm not saying that to be overly critical. I'm saying that because I test everything the same way. So let's bring this back to my main question. Did they fix what was wrong? The answer is partially. There are some real improvements here, and I want to give credit where it's due, but not everything has been addressed. And depending on how you plan to use this, that could matter more than you would ever expect. So here's where I've landed. I don't care if a company sends me a product or if I have to go out and buy it myself. I'm going to test it exactly the same way every time. I'm going to tell you exactly what I find. And with the F3000 LFP, this is a step forward, but it's not a complete fix. And that's something I think people should know before they make a decision. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about the brand. It's about whether the product actually delivers.